Hello everyone, welcome back to Graybeard's Garage on a wonderful sweltering muggy day here in South Texas. God's blessed us with another clear day. We've had rain for the last few days. Haven't been able to get a whole lot of done project wise because of it. I want to welcome you back. What we got going on today is we're going to do what's known as a 3-hole maintenance on my Ultra Limited. Here's my girl here. She's a 2014 with the 103. And we're going to go, like I said, do a 3-hole lubrication service on her, which that includes the engine oil, transmission oil, and primary case oil. Let me show you that my oil of choice is Amsoil Synthetic 2050. Pretty nice kit. You got your 2050 full synthetic, 4 quarts. It includes a chrome oil filter, your choice of a black one if you like. And one thing that's kind of interesting, and I didn't realize it, they actually include an O-ring for your drain plug. Then here we have the primary fluid. It takes a little over a quart for the primary, so make sure you measure that out according to your bike specifications. Then also your transmission fluid, which takes 1 quart. As far as your tools, you're going to need a 3/8 Allen wrench. That way you can remove the dipstick from the transmission. 5/8 socket for your drain plugs. And then you're going to need a Torx 25 or 27. Either one will work for your primary cover. Other than that, you've got to get your bike up off the ground to where you can access your drain plugs and get your drain pan under it. I'm using a wheel chock from Harbor Freight here. I'm going to do a product review on this. I've got 3 of them. I've used them for a couple of months now. They work great. I transported all 3 of my bikes with these from Tucson to South Texas without a problem. These normally run about $69, $79 depending on sales and whatnot, but I managed to get these on sale for $52 a piece. They're fully adjustable and heavy duty. And I found others on the market that go all the way upwards to $200+, and these things are really nice for $52 a piece. So I'll still got one in the box. I'm going to do a product review on that, show you what I think about it, show you how to put it together. And I jacked up the back of the bike, put it up on a couple of blocks. I got room for my drain pan to get up under there. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Normally you would need also, tool-wise, you would need an 1 inch-pound and a 1 foot-pound torque wrench for your drain plugs and also your primary bolts. You know, if you're fortunate enough to have those, good for you. And right now I do not have them, so we're going to do the old ugga-dugga method. You know, going to snug her up and go just enough and double check it after a ride or 2 and make sure everything's snug and not leaking. The main thing about the torque is you want to make sure that it doesn't back out on you, and also you do not strip out the threads. Alright, so here on this side of the bike, when we get that far, this is your oil fill and dipstick, and there's your transmission dipstick. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pull those out so we can get some airflow for when we drop our drain plugs. I'm going to get these drain plugs pulled. Alright, so let's get this oil fill plug removed. I want to show you on here. It also includes your dipstick. Let me wipe this off here. One thing I really like Harley did on these is that there is 2 different readings on this. You have 1 scale on the top, 1 scale on the bottom. The scale on the top is when it's on the jiffy stand and also while hot, and the bottom scale is if it's upright. So if you have it up on a stand like this or up on a workbench and the bike is upright, you would use this bottom scale. If you're just out on the road and checking it, you're going to use your top scale up here. Of course, there's your add mark and your full marks. So we're going to set this aside. Now we're going to break this one loose. This is our transmission dipstick. So it's a 3/8 Allen. Forgive me here, all the shakiness. Alright, so we're going to pull this one out. Alright, we're going to pull this one out, kind of the same thing. We have your reference marks on it. Get that cleaned off. Alright, there's your reference mark here on the end. You have an add in full. And unfortunately, it looks like it's just, I'm guessing, to be checked upright. As long as you're between those two marks, you're good to go. Alright, so I'm going to set my drain plugs down here to get them out of the way. Now let's get over here and get my drain pan up underneath the bike. Grab my socket. Alright, so up here underneath the bike, we're looking towards the back. Here's our engine drain plug. And up inside this hole right behind it here, that's the transmission drain plug. And then if you come over here to the primary, there we go, get the kickstand out of the way. We have our drain plug right here for the primary, and these are all 5/8, as you can see. Ta-da! Alright, let me get these broke loose and get them to draining. Alright, I'm going to drop this transmission drain plug first. Alright, it's just about done. I'm going to come up here, drop the oil, engine oil plug. I really wish I had a lift so I can get this thing a little bit higher off the ground, make it a little bit easier. And maybe this year I'll ask Santa Claus for one. Alright, there's the engine oil plug. Alright, I'm going to break this primary loose. So over here we got our primary drain plug. Scoot on over here real quick. There we go. Now the primary one's out, and I'm going to let these sit here and drain for a little while. No big hurry here. I just let it drain until it quits dripping. Alright, boys and girls, I just spent the last hour trying to loosen up this oil filter. Thanks to the last individual that serviced this bike. I guess they decided to prove their manlyhood or something by cranking this oil filter on so tight. Couldn't break it loose with the old-fashioned strap wrench. Cap wrench didn't work either. Ended up having to do an old trick of using a hose clamp, which I'll show you here in a little bit on how we did that. Crank a hose clamp down onto it, then you can use something to drive it. A punch, nut driver like I did, or something to loosen it up. It literally took me an hour to get this thing loose enough to where I can remove this filter. So don't do that, guys. When you go to put this filter on, snug it down by hand and then turn it about a quarter to a half a turn further, and that's all you need to do. So what we're going to do here is we're going to cram a rag down up underneath this filter so we can attempt to catch any oil that comes out of it so we don't make a huge mess down here. Put that rag down here underneath. Make sure you got your drain pan down under there. Then we're going to take this old filter out. Always make sure your old gasket comes off. I've seen so many people get in trouble. They get in a hurry, not paying attention, leave the old gasket on there, and they end up double gasketing it. And you're tooling down the road, everything seems fine, then all of a sudden you got a mess on your hands. So don't do that either. Make sure it's all cleaned off. So I'm going to reach up here and clean this mating surface off. Alright, so we're going to take our new filter. We're going to put just a little bit of oil inside of it so that oil pump doesn't start up dry. Just a little bit in there because you don't want to spill it everywhere when you go to put it on. Then you're going to take a little drop of oil here and put it on your gasket. Just enough to get it wet to where it'll slide when you tighten it down. But not enough to drip everywhere where you think you got a leak when you don't. And clean that off again where it dripped. This one on until it stops. Then you want to go about another, like I said, half a turn or so, and leave it at that. You know, you should be able to take the filter off next time by hand, but if not, then that's when your filter rich comes in hand. There you go. Nice and snug. Pull the rag out of here. See, lost a little bit of oil, not too much. Alright, so I'm going to go grab me some brake clean and we'll shoot some brake clean up in here and get all that excess oil off. Alright, so I'm going to shoot this brake clean up here and clean off any of this oil that dripped down. There we go. I'll come back here in a little bit with the paper towel and get any other residual oil that might be over there. Alright, so now we're going to put our drain plugs back in. Going to start off with our transmission. We're going to clean this off here. Don't want any excess oil coming down as you're going down the road. Socket here. Said look up your bike and what the torque specs are for your model. I already went and put a little bit of oil on the O-ring to make sure that I do not tear it up as I put the drain plug back in. I said there is inch pound and foot pound specs on these drain plugs. I said I do not currently have a torque wrench in either inch or foot pounds. The foot pound one I have is ancient and has not been calibrated in probably a decade, so I'm not going to trust it. So I'm just going to make sure these are snugged up nice. I said the main thing is you just do not want to strip out the holes. That's the biggest concern. Is do not strip it out. Then you're talking about expensive repair. Alright, here we have the engine oil drain plug. And once again, I have put a little bit of oil onto the O-ring to make sure it doesn't get damaged as we tighten it up. This one here, normally you could run them in finger tight, but it's still got some of that thread sealer on there that I didn't take off all the way. So I'm just going to run it in, and we'll snug her down real good. Alrighty, nice and snug. I'm going to come back with some brake clean and clean these up real good. That way it'll be nice and dry, and that way I can tell if I have any leak at all. And then the last one is our primary drain, which is right here. Same thing with this one, got thread sealer on there. It's a little tough going back, but that's good. Once again, a little bit of oil on the O-ring so you don't destroy the O-ring. Snug it up nice and tight. Just a hair more. There we go. Alright, so now we got to pull the primary cover off. Alright, so now we're going to pull this primary cover off. There's our primary cover. See here, here's the old gasket. A little bit of clutch dust in here, not too bad. Alright, so I'll clean this off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this with a little bit of brake clean. I'm going to pull this old seal out. Grab my pick and yank it out of there. Put the new seal in, and then we'll get everything topped off with fluid. Alright, so it's time to put fluids back in. We're going to fill the primary. We're going to use the Amsoil synthetic primary fluid. Specs call for a wet refill of 38 ounces, which means it's going to be 1 quart plus 6 ounces. So double check your owner's manual on the amount that your bike takes. You do not want to overfill your primary, because one of the biggest problems of overfilling it is that you will have a slipping clutch. And from what I've been reading in the forums, if you go into the owner's manual under the section for troubleshooting, under slipping clutch, one of the first thing it mentions is overfilled primary. So luckily the primary is one thing that's easy to drain and refill if you need to. Like I said, once again, a wet fill, which is like what we're doing here. If you just drain and pull the derby cover off and refill, that is considered wet, is 38 ounces. If you do a dry fill, which means if you have to pull your outer primary off for any reason, which is this big cover here, then it's considered a dry fill, and then it takes 45 ounces. Alright, so there's 32 ounces. Oh, stay up there, will you? We need another 6. A little bit more off of here. There's 2. There's 4. Here more. There's 6 ounces. There's 36 ounces for a wet fill. Alrighty. I'll put our derby cover back on. Got our new seal in place. Take a little dab of oil on that seal, make sure it doesn't slide out. Make sure you do not cross thread these bolts as you put them in. Keep a little bit of firm pressure on the cover as you're running your bolts down here. That way your seal's not going to get cockeyed and end up leaking on you. Do these in small increments. Once again, look up your torque specs in your manual. And you always tighten these in a star crisscross pattern. The way it applies even torque all the way around the cover. It provides a good seal. And also prevents from warping your primary cover. Right now I'm going to go by my experience and just snug these down and a little tweak. Get it up to running temperature and come back, double check, make sure everything's snugged up real good. The main thing is you do not want to strip these bolts out because it gets real expensive if you do. Alright. Now we have our derby cover back on. Just clean it up, get all your fingerprints off. Excess oil on the ground down here. Alright, so now we're going to go to the other side and fill up the transmission and the engine oil. Alright, now we're going to top off the transmission. Here I'm using the Amsoil synthetic V-Twin transmission fluid. The manual states 1 quart capacity. One thing good about Amsoil, they also have it where you can search by vehicle on their website, and it gives you all the recommended capacities and the recommended fluids. I know a lot of folks, they'll run like the Screaming Eagle Send 3 in all 3 holes for the primary transmission and for the engine. I actually prefer the Amsoil, so they have it formulated for each use. The Amsoil transmission fluid tends to keep the clunkiness down in the transmission and smoother shifts. As is, to each their own. I know some people are brand loyal to oils. I've used everything out there, you know, as a mechanic and whatnot, from Valvoline, Pennzoil, Quaker State, Castrol. In all my performance applications, I've always ran Castrol. And my V8s, I've always run Castrol 2050 because I'm really hard on any of my performance vehicles. Just about everything I've run to 2050. As a matter of fact, the 95 Jeep Wrangler that I have, I run Castrol 2050 in it, and that thing's got, I think, close to 200,000 miles on it now, I believe. And for a 95, and she don't smoke, she passes emission tests with flying colors. No, I can't complain. I have no valve noise, nothing. She's just amazing. And for the approximately 12 years, I guess, that I've owned it, that's all I've ran was Castrol 2050 in it. Yeah. Let's sit here and get as much as we can out of here. I've been a fan for Amsoil for quite some time, and actually if you go and look at what it costs to go get your oil changed at the dealership versus doing it yourself like this, with these fluids through Amsoil, the oil change kit, and the primary fluid and the transmission fluid, it came out to, I think, about $106 shipped, and that's with the membership that I have that gives you discounts. I mean, sometimes you get some really amazing discounts with their products, and pretty fast shipping. I actually ordered this, when was it? Monday evening, I think it was, that I ordered this, and it showed up on my doorstep day before yesterday, and, and today is Friday, so I got it in 2 days, and it's pretty fast shipping. Alright, so we got the transmission topped off. Now I'm going to fill up the engine case. And recommended oil on that is 4 quarts, and I'm using Amsoil synthetic V-Twin 2050. Like I said, use the oil of your choice. This is what I'm a firm believer in. And the good thing about synthetics, you can go more than 2,500, 3,500 miles between oil changes, because normally, with conventional oil, yes, the oil does break down, but one of the main things that breaks down in oil is the detergents and everything in it. That's what makes oil go bad. But with conventional oils, I said the oil itself does break down, especially with high heat. And these V-Twins, they do run quite hot. And it's equivalent to the air-cooled V-Twin is no different than basically like a diesel engine, as far as the wear and tear on the oil goes. But with the synthetics itself do not break down. It's just a matter of the detergents breaking down in them. And the quality detergents is what you're looking for. And also the lubrication properties of the oils. And I said I had nothing but good luck with Amsoils. This may be the last touring bike I buy. I just turned 53 years old this year. If I can keep this bike going for 20 years, and if I'm still riding at 73, I'll be a happy camper. This bike's just now getting broke in real well, considering she's only got 35,000 miles on her right now. I'm hoping to have 350,000 miles on her by the time I get done, if not more. So we'll see how she lasts. So that's first quart. Alright. So we got our transmission dipstick here. Make sure the surface of our fill hole's clean. Got our oil dipstick. Make sure it's all clean. The fill hole's nice and clean. Snugged up. Alright, I'm going to grab my ratchet, snug that transmission dipstick down, then we're going to fire her up, make sure we don't have any obvious leaks anywhere. Well, there you have it, gang. Three-hole oil change and lubrication service. They say you can save yourself a lot of money. They said the cost on this was a little over $100 going through Amsoil versus probably what, $150 to $250 depending on your dealership for a standard service. Go out there, and it's not hard to do. Save yourself some money, folks, and plus you get the satisfaction of working on your bike yourself. All right, so thanks for joining me on this little adventure. Leave me a like, drop me a comment if you like, and come back here in the near future. We got some more projects coming.